Hello, welcome to Working Dragon Mystic, where we discuss real, metaphysical, and occult knowledge so that you can manifest real and tangible results in your life. This week, we're going to be discussing a viewer request. I've been getting it a lot lately, how to summon and work with a deity. Stay tuned. Okay, so as many of you know, we did a video a while back on how to find and generally connect and start working with an entity or a deity. From that video, we have been getting an explosion over the last 3 weeks of messages from people who want to know how to summon a deity. Now, this is a really kind of a hard one because when someone says summon a deity, that can mean a lot of different things. To some people, this means how do I contact the deity and just bring that energy or essence into the room with me? And that's understandable. And for a lot of people, that's all that's needed. And honestly, for most work, that's all that's needed. And we do cover how you can start doing that in the previous video. So I'm working under the assumption that what they're talking about is something more. So by more, I'm meaning that instead of just a basic meditation or prayer or just an offering with what most might say they don't seem to be feeling any energy or any results or any direct connection, we're stepping closer to the realm of evocation, which is what summoning is. Now, evocation is an advanced magic, and I cannot teach it in a single video. We are looking at possibly doing a full evocation class at some point for the school, and hopefully soon, because clearly this is a topic everyone's interested in. That said, however, we can talk about how to get started in some of the basics. And for the first time, I'm actually going to go ahead and record the ritual after we talk about it so you can actually see me going through it. I've been getting a lot of requests for that kind of a video. I didn't initially think you all would be interested in that because, well, you're watching someone else do the work. You can't really experience the energy as well through it. Some people do claim they can see energy and everything through film, so we're going to give it a shot, and for at least nothing else, it'll show you a walkthrough of the process and demystify it. I know some people are far more visual learners, so perhaps that will help. Now, when we talk about summoning an entity, mostly what we're going to do is we're going to connect with that energy and we're going to pull that energy into our working space. And to do that, you generally need some kind of what most people will call a chant or an incantation. Now these, I personally enjoy writing my own. Now, tonight, we're going to actually be working with Freya. I'm wanting to do a ritual to get Freya to extend some protection to my wife while she's away from home. So that's what the ritual is going to be directed for. Now, my ritual is going to be set up as a hailing ritual, which if you follow this channel, you know I enjoy this style of ritual. And I do already have my calling or hailing rite written out for Freya. It's a custom rite. It's very simple. It uses her name and a few of her titles. So it will go Hail Freya, Goddess of Love and Beauty, Queen of the Valkyries, Goddess of War and Magic. Join me here and now in this place and grace me with your presence. Hail Freya, Hail Freya, Hail Freya. And that is actually going to be repeated several times during the ritual. I don't actually count it. I just repeat as necessary and feel it. And I actually use the Hail Freya as the glossolalia incantation part where I continually repeat that over and over and over. That's going to be what I use to drop down into that trance state also. Having that incantation, that chanting is going to help you to drop down into that state. Now, if you follow the laws of magic, and you checked out our video on the laws of magic, again, I'll make sure that's linked up here as well. And I'll make sure the other video on working with deities is linked. One of the laws of magic is what's in a name. Everything. Technically, to summon an entity, you need its name. Okay. A lot of people have trouble with just something as intangible as a name. They don't understand that power. So they want a sigil. Well, a lot of deities don't have a sigil. And Freya is one of them. Some people associate a certain rune with her. Some people associate different images with her. But overall, a singular sigil is something that is not agreed upon that I'm aware of in my research. That said, anytime you run into this, that's not an issue. Take the name, write the name out, and just like in our sigil magic video, make a sigil with that name. And that's what we're going to do here. So I'm going to go ahead and sketch out a quick sigil for Freya. And I'm going to do it in runic just because. Now, I'm doing this in such a way that I don't really have to even think about it. And that's kind of what you want to do. You don't want to overthink your sigil. Okay, once you quickly sketch out your sigil, I like to go over it with a darker color. Since I do my rituals in low lighting, I like to have a stronger line that can show it better. I mean, this is pencil. I don't even think in this lighting you can really see it on the camera. So, I'm going to just quickly go over that with the marker. And it's messy, but that will actually work. So I have a quick sigil of Freya. Now, how to make this? It doesn't matter. I just threw this together in a way that felt right to me for this ritual at this time. And that's all you have to do. So if you're wanting to work with, say, the Morgan, use her name and any alphabet you want. You can even use the English alphabet. I do that for a lot of sigils. A lot of them. When I do work with the Norse, I try to use runes because, honestly, it's that level of connection. Okay, so we got our sigil. We know to use the name. And we know we're going to be using a self-written, short and simple incantation. Now, what trips up a lot of people, I think, is when they think of summoning, they look at stuff like the Goetia. And the Goetia has like a 9-day preparatory process to get the magician ready for the ritual. And then during the ritual, there's like 3 to 4 different long passages, long wordy passages that are read out loud or memorized in order to summon up those spirits. I've worked with the Goetia using that system, and it works. It's maddening, and I think it's a little overkill for what you get. I've actually found using shorter, simpler rituals with those same spirits got me far better results. And I apply that same process to all my evocation work. And that's honestly, I do that because to me, the short and simple keeps my focus on the ritual. Now, there are some people who the long, more poetic style incantations help them to get into the mind space. If that's you, use them. But again, I will say, write your own. The more that you put of yourself into the ritual, the better. The incantation I'm using for Freya, I wrote that myself during a path working. Now, how did I do that? Well, the first step of working with any entity, and therefore summoning them, is preparation and knowledge. It helps you to immerse yourself in this entity and the deity and the culture they work in, and that's important. So, the first thing you want to do is your research. In this case, I found several names that Freya is known by. She comes from a culture where those names are important. And honestly, when you're working with any entity, names, titles, stuff like this is a great way to help reach out and target that entity and to get their attention. Also, look at what the culture does itself, ways that its practice was. See if you can work that into the ritual. Perhaps decorate the room in colors that would work with the entity and the culture. Does the entity have a specific day of the week? Like Freya, her day is Friday. So a great day to do rituals for her is Friday. So you can actually use those things to continue to build that connection and to increase your immersion. But you really want to dive into that immersion and really get to know the lore and the ideal of who this deity is before you perform the ritual. Because that gives you a stronger knowledge of who they are and a stronger knowledge of the connection, so that when you do the ritual, the connection is stronger and it's far easier to get the results. I've heard this referred to by a few magicians as preparatory immersion. Now, after that, it's about just jumping in and doing the ritual. And when you do the ritual, what can you expect? Well, you can expect the entity to answer. The biggest problem I've noticed that most people run into is they are not ready to receive the information. See, when people sit down and they think of summoning, a lot of people really do think of the movies. They expect an entity to manifest in the physical form in front of them, the same as you or I, the same as the desk, the same as the chair. It's as tangible, physical as everything else on the material plane. That's what they're expecting. And they expect that to happen in this massive poof of smoke, like a genie from a lamp, and they expect to be able to have a normal conversation with it, just like they're talking to their mama. However, that's not what happens. First off, the energy of the entity and the presence of the entity will enter the room. This is going to fall like a cloud or a blanket upon the room, is the best way I can describe it. It has no physical form. I almost want to say no tangibility, but at the same time, that presence, when you can feel it, it's tangible, at least in feeling. And that's the kicker, when you can feel it. This is where meditation, trance work, and working with them ahead of time, like we talked about in the other video, really comes in handy, because you have to train yourself to be able to feel these energies and to feel that shift in the atmosphere in the room. And some people, it takes longer to train that than others, but you do need to do it. And the best way you can do that is through meditation and working with the entity like we covered in the earlier videos. That's going to help you build the connection. That's going to help you to learn to listen, to learn to reach out and to feel that energy. And it will kind of come across emotionally for a lot of people. Some people, it'll be the tingly on the back of their neck when their hairs stand up. Some people, it'll feel like a pressure. Some people, the room will get hotter, colder. It can appear in a lot of different ways. I know just last week I was doing a ritual with Nama, and the pressure from the ritual was intense. It honestly felt like I was at like 12 feet down in a pool, and just the water pressure pressing down on me. So that's not extreme, but that's a tangible amount of pressure. So not every entity feels that way, but that's how Nama felt at that time. Other times she's appeared in other ways. That's the first thing you're going to see. The next thing is where you continue to call their presence further and further forward. And in a lot of cases, some people prefer to use trance work so they can just meet halfway in the astral, or what some people refer to as the crossroads, kind of a place out of time and space. Or you can meet in your astral sanctum. You are summoning them to your astral sanctum at that point. You can also use a scrying mirror to summon them to the mirror, so you're viewing them through the mirror. That's a form of summoning. Now, whether you're using scrying or if you want to go to manifestation in the room, which is full evocation, you have to train up your arcane sight or your clairvoyance to be able to see them. And you have to be clairaudience. You have to be able to hear them psychically as well, because their voices are still going to be on that psychic spectrum. So you're going to have to be able to use these senses, and you need to train those. Now, I'll go ahead and link up a video we did talking about the arcane senses and giving you some tips on how to start training them. As well as I will link below, we have just recently finished an entire class on arcane sight and clairvoyance and how you can start working to develop it and train it up for this exact practice. It's a complete class at the school, absolutely free. So if you're interested in this kind of work, go check that out. This will help a lot. Now, we go through all that because when you do the ritual and you're chanting this and you're dropping into that trance state and you're getting into that altered state of mind and you're starting to view across the room from you where you're summoning them, whether they take a tangible form or whether their presence just drops into the room intangibly. Once they're in the room, you have summoned them. That's when you will begin your conversation. That's when you will make your requests. And that's when you will listen. Part of what we talked about in the other video was learning to listen to their responses. And that's where the clairaudience comes in also. You have to be able to receive that information that the response was given, or you're going to have to take it on faith. Which a lot of people do, and they get a lot of great results. Now, one thing I will say, deities, I don't actually do full evocations of deities all the time. I usually evoke their presence into the room, and that's generally enough. But sometimes I will push to full evocation, because with a deity, you get generally similar results, unless you're wanting just that stronger connection, which sometimes I do. Sometimes it's helpful. It makes taking notes or the conversation easier. And in those cases, I'll do it. But starting out, if you can just get the presence in the room, you're on the right track and you're doing good. Now, when we shoot this ritual, I don't know if anything's going to show up on the camera. I don't know how the lighting's going to work. I usually work in a pretty dark area, so I'm going to have to test it. I may have to work in a brighter room than normal to get the camera to pick anything up. So we're going to try and get that to work as best we can. We will shoot right here in the office. I'll just move my ritual space right here, and we'll drop the camera down because I do work in the floor. And when we shoot the ritual, I will do my best to vocalize as much as I can, as well as I can, because as you drop into that ritual, you'll start mumbling and your voice drops lower and lower. And that's not really good for filming, but just a heads up, that may happen if I'm going to actually attempt to do this on camera and not just make it into a show for you, because I see no reason to film it as just a show. If I'm not going to really do it, there's no reason to do it. But we will at least get you through the process. And the request that I'm making for Freya, that will probably be cut out or kept silent. I'll probably project that mentally as opposed to record that, because that's a more private overall request between me, Freya, and my wife. So it's all good things, but it is private. So that section will probably definitely be projected silently. The rest of it I will try and do. Now, once you're finished, you thank them for their thank them. In the case of a hailing ritual, you say your farewells and you give a hailing call to them, which you'll see what I mean by that. It's usually just like, thank you, Freya, for joining me and aiding me. Hail Freya, hail Freya, hail Freya. When it's Freya, I don't even really dismiss her. It's just that thing. She's kind of always with me the way I work with her, but that's the closing of the ritual right there. You just thank them and close. And I will be using this sigil here. We done? So I'll go ahead and cut the video and get set up, and we'll get going. Okay, before I go ahead and kill the lights, this is exactly how simple my setup's going to be. I'll be sitting here, as you can see, my rogue circle we've talked about before. I'll be using that. And there's my altar surface. I have 2 tea light candles and the sigil I plan to use. The camera will be straight across from me, and from the looks of it, I won't be able to get the altar top in the shot and me. So we'll just get as much of me as we can so you can watch the movements I go through, and I'll try and remember to make any comments about what I'm doing. But since it's literally just the sigil and all that, we should be good to go. Okay, real quick, I've already got everything set up. Before we get started, when it comes to how to use a sigil, you want to focus on it and keep your focus on the entity that you're calling. And as you gaze into it, let your eyes relax, and you want to visualize energy pulsing around it, charging it. And when the sigil's activated, what you should see is the lines of that sigil start to either glow, sometimes they'll disappear, reappear, sometimes they'll lift off the paper. I've had them start sparking at times. Any of these things will tell you that that sigil's charged, active, and open and ready to go. At that point, you can set the sigil down onto your work area, and you can focus completely on calling the deity. I think we covered that in the sigil magic video, but just in case, I wanted to go ahead and touch on it here before we got started. Hail Freya, goddess of love and beauty, queen of the Valkyries, goddess of war and magic, join me here and now in this place and grace me with your presence. Hail Freya, 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 goddess of love and beauty, queen of the Valkyries, goddess of war and magic, join me here and now in this place and grace me with your presence. Hail Freya, 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 goddess of love and beauty, queen of the Valkyries, goddess of war and magic, join me here and now in this place and grace me with your presence. Hail Freya, 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 goddess of love and beauty, queen of the Valkyries, goddess of war and magic, join me here and now in this place and grace me with your presence. Hail Freya, 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 goddess of love and beauty, queen of the Valkyries, goddess of war and magic, join me here and now in this place and grace me with your presence. Hail Freya, 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 goddess of love and beauty, queen of the Valkyries, goddess of war and magic, join me here and now in this place and grace me with your presence. Hail Freya, Hail Freya, Hail Freya, Hail Freya, Hail Freya, Hail Freya, Hail Freya. Welcome Freya, welcome Queen of the Valkyries, welcome Goddess of Love and Beauty. I call you here today to ask your protection and your watchful and the watchful eyes of your Valkyries upon my wife as she is away from home. Protect her as you would any warrior and soldier. Keep her safe and see her home. See her home to her family, happily and safe. I would also ask Freya Thank you, Freya. Thank you. Hail Freya. Hail Freya. Hail Freya. Hail Freya. Hail Freya. Thank you, Freya, for all you do for me and my family. Thank you for your teachings. Thank you for your protections. Thank you for your love. Thank you, Freya. Hail Freya, goddess of love and beauty, queen of the Valkyries, goddess of war and magic. Thank you for joining us here and now in this place and gracing us with your presence. Hail Freya, hail Freya, hail Freya. Let me get the office set back up. Okay, so there it was, that simple. A quick, easy ritual. Now, I will have to see how it comes out in editing. Hopefully it comes out well enough. So let's talk about what I experienced on my end. First off, the room's temperature shot up, which I purposely keep the house cold, and I was not expecting it to get that warm. Uh, whew, yeah, I was definitely beginning to sweat during the ritual. I didn't notice it as much other than the temperature until I finished. When I finished, I was just pouring with sweat. Um, and when I closed the ritual, the temperature in the room dropped. There is a noticeable chill on the air again. So, and I think it took me 5, 6 minutes to set the office back up to shoot this. So, yeah, massive energy, atmospheric shift during that. Um, did I get her to fully manifest? No. And honestly, that can take more time, and my camera only shoots a certain length of segments, and I didn't want to draw it out. The video's getting pretty long as is. So all I actually needed, though, was her presence in the room. I didn't need her to condense it and become dense enough to manifest on a full evocation style level. That said, there definitely was some atmospheric things happening. I noticed a few computer oddities that shouldn't have happened. My phone, for one, turned itself on. I don't know if the camera picked up that noise or not, but little things like that was definitely happening that were really weird. But that's one of the reasons I try not to do rituals around electronics. Now, we may have solved the bulk of our problems by keeping the camera out of the direct ritual area, though clearly there's still some spillover. But hey, that's okay. We're figuring it out here. But yeah, definitely a great ritual for me. And it was short. Now, normally, I would like to spend time in meditation with the entity, not just make the request and go. That is one thing I did tell her, is that I will be back to spend more time directly with her, and she understood the reasons why. So no worries there. So yeah, definitely don't ask and run. Try and spend some time there in meditation with them. But when you put all the pieces together, it really comes down to something that simple. Not a lot of bells and whistles. I keep my work very, very simple. And if this is like I said, I wasn't sure you guys would even want to see rituals like this. I've gotten requests for it, so we figured we'd try it. Now, if you are interested in seeing more like this, more ritual demonstrations, perhaps a walkthrough of the Dragon's Flame ritual, leave it in the comments below. Let us know, because we want to make videos that you all actually want to see. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get information out there, good, solid information. But if there's videos that you would like to see us do, let us know. And that's the reason, we went ahead and shot the ritual live like this, is we've been getting requests for it. So if you want to see more like this, let us know. Hit the like button. Drop us a comment below. We love to hear from you. Also, if you have any tips on angles, try and let us know that. We're still trying to figure out the angles on how to shoot these things best. I'm actually considering trying a side view at one point. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe, like, share it with your friends. Anyone you know who's interested in this kind of information. Perhaps they're looking at taking up magic, or they're just interested in studying random things about the occult. Either way, share it. Helps us out a lot here. And be sure to join us Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're doing a live stream where I talk about my research, what I got going on, and I take questions from the viewers live right there here on YouTube. And join us every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Magical Coffee Hour over on Twitch with Caffeine and Chaos, aka the Linda. That has been a real blast. We've been getting a great turnout there, and it's been a lot of fun hearing from viewers and talking. And yeah, The live streams and the magical coffee hour have been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed them. Anyways, I'm Drake, and this has been the Working Dragon Mystic. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.